Today, I am here to give y'all some takes and opinions from this past weekend's race at the Red Bull Ring in Austria, and I'm also going to talk about the British Grand Prix this upcoming weekend. There are a ton of things to talk about here, so on to the intro we go.
I'm Chase Briscoe, driver number 14 Ford Mustang for Stewart Haas Racing, and you're watching William Blackwell on YouTube.
This past weekend out in Austria in the Red Bull Ring, we saw Max Verstappen, driver for Red Bull, take home yet another win in the 2023 season. At this point in time, there is no competition to Max Verstappen. He had a disadvantage today with the virtual safety car, and even though he had that big disadvantage, he still managed to win the Austrian Grand Prix in 5 seconds over Leclerc. He did have a 23-second advantage over him, but he decided that fastest lap, that 1 point, was just big enough, so they took the risk, and it worked out for them as they went on to sauce and took on the fastest lap. So Verstappen had a phenomenal weekend, had the pole and everything, and won the sprint race and won the main race. Good for him. He's going now to a track where he's been hit or miss at in the past, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But joining him on the podium was Charles Leclerc of Ferrari, and that caught me off guard, and I'm sure it probably caught some of you people watching this video off guard, because I thought Ferrari was just a one-lap car. They were not good in race pace, which they weren't spectacular, but they were better than the Mercedes and a Aston Martin, and I guess you can say McLaren with the new upgrades for Lando Norris. Ferrari, good deal for Charles Leclerc, bad deal for Carlos Sainz. They did him wrong early in the race by holding him up and not letting him pass Charles Leclerc, because if it was the other way around, we all know Ferrari would have told Sainz to pull on over and let Charles by. I'm telling you, folks, there's some things going on in Ferrari right now. They're trying their hardest to persuade Charles Leclerc to go and stay with them for many years to come and go nowhere else. I'm telling you, folks, if that wasn't a clear sign, I don't know what is. All right, but third place was Sergio Perez, and I'll admit, I was kind of harsh on him last week and weeks prior about his performance pace, and I believe his qualifying effort set him back a lot, and it also got him a lot more criticism. And in the race, he put that behind him, and he worked his way forward and got on the podium. And that's a big win for him, because I believe now he's got some of his confidence back heading into a Silverstone track, which hasn't been too kind to the Red Bull cars within the last couple of years. Last year, we saw Carlos Sainz winning that race, his first career Grand Prix victory. Lewis Hamilton in 21, and in 2020, they had two races that year. One Hamilton won on 3 wheels, and the other one Verstappen won. And Verstappen since then hasn't been good, and neither has Perez or Red Bull in general. So maybe they can turn things around this weekend, but time will tell. But I did not like what Ferrari did with Carlos Sainz. It did him wrong. He should have had a podium, and they should have, first off, let one pit and one stay out, play games with Verstappen and Red Bull, but they didn't, and that costed them a lot of time. And McLaren, their big upgrades for Lando Norris seemed to work out really well, but Oscar Piastri, there are still a bunch of question marks surrounding that car and that driver and team. But enough said on Austria, now onto the British Grand Prix we go. How much I would like to say a Mercedes will win the British Grand Prix this weekend in 2023, I believe it's all not going to happen like that. I know they're bringing major upgrades here to Silverstone and also in Spa at the end of July for the Belgian Grand Prix. But though, they're not going to work right off the bat, so we can put that right behind us. They're going to have the same car they did in Austria, but with a little bit more help in the front end of things, and they're going to have a little bit downforce, and it's going to be a lot better car in the straights, I believe. And Mercedes, their issues are not going to be resolved within a blink of an eye, so you're going to have to wait on that. I believe they are months away from being race-winning cars. And but enough said of that. I believe Max Verstappen is easily going to win the British Grand Prix. And I am a Mercedes fan, and I know there are a lot of butthurt Mercedes fans out there that are not willing to admit it, but I will. Red Bull has a quick car right now. Mercedes did many years ago in the old car. And when Mercedes were doing that, none of the other teams were complaining about it. And Mercedes, our fans are the biggest ones right now on Red Bull. Just shut up, please. You're making yourselves look dumb. I'm admitting it. I'm a Mercedes fan. If Formula One were to intervene with the Red Bull car on how quick they are and try to slow them down, that will be wrong. And I believe that's taken away from the purity of the Formula One championship right now, because Verstappen has a quick car. So does Perez, but Verstappen has a little bit more, I guess you can say, eagerness and desire to go and win races on a weekly basis. So Verstappen wins, and I believe he will get the fastest lap attempt. Second place will be Fernando Alonso. I believe after a horrible weekend out at the Red Bull Ring in Austria, he's going to want to turn things around, and he will come home in second place, because I believe the Aston Martin car in Silverstone is going to be very mighty. Third place is going to be Lewis Hamilton. I believe he's going to be up there, but nowhere near Max Verstappen. He's going to get 15 points. Third place is going to be Carlos Sainz. He's going to come home in fourth for the second week in a row. And I don't know, it's going to be kind of devastating for him, because this is a track he won at a year ago. He's going to have a lot of high hopes. Maybe, though, he's realistic. 12 points, though, for Carlos Sainz. Fifth place, though, is going to be Sergio Perez. Even though he had a good run in Austria, I'm still down on him, and I got him finishing fifth with 10 points. Sixth place, though, is going to be George Russell. George Russell competed with Mercedes last year in the British Grand Prix, but only made it one turn after that horrible wreck with Russell, Gasly, Albon, and Zhou Guanyu, which we saw Zhou Guanyu flip over many times. And scary incident. And talking about that, we've seen a red flag last year in 2022 and also in 2021. Red flags in safety cars are highly expected at the very beginning of the British Grand Prix, so keep a close eye on that, if you will. All right, seventh place, Lando Norris. I believe he's going to have a good weekend. These upgrades are going to be good for him, but I believe the big three and with Fernando Alonso are just going to be light years ahead. All right, eighth place, Alex Albon. I believe Silverstone is going to be that type of track that will reward the Williams car big time. We got 3 big DRS zones, and is it 3 or 2? I'm getting my words tied up here. It's 2. But it's going to be a good weekend for them. They do got long straights and quick corners, and that's what Alex Albon and James Vowles loves for their cars to have and be on. So Albon plus 4 points. Ninth place. This right here, I'm going out on a limb. I'm thinking Ferrari's going to have some type of strategy blunder and ruin one of their drivers' day, and I believe that driver will be Charles Leclerc, who will come home in ninth place with plus 2 points. Or 2 points, yeah. 10th place, though, is going to be Logan Sargent. I am saying this. Listen here. Had a 13th place result in Austria. Got a little bit of momentum built up. He won Silverstone last year in Formula 2. He's getting the new upgrades that Alex Albon's been doing well in. You get where I'm going here, folks. He's going to score his first career points in Formula 1 this weekend in Silverstone. 11th place, Pierre Gasly. No points for him. Esteban Ocon, 12th place. No points for him. It's going to be a shocker if this were to happen with no points going to Alpine. 13th place, Lance Stroll. Need to fire him. 14th place, Oscar Piastri. 15th, Kevin Magnussen. 16th place, Nico Hulkenberg. 17th place, Valtteri Bottas, who has been very disappointing this year. I hope he can turn things around. The Alfa Romeo car right now is definitely the worst car on the grid. I believe AlphaTauri is just a tad bit better than they are, and Williams are a lot better than both of them teams. So I believe the last two teams for ninth place is going to get heated by the end of the year. I think right now with Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu managing to score a few points here and there, it's just going to give them the slight advantage over AlphaTauri, because Nick DeVries, he's probably not going to be racing, let's be honest, after this month. You got Liam Lawson and Daniel Ricciardo. Probably Liam Lawson, though, but I expect him to get replaced, because you'll see why in a minute. Yuki Tsunoda in 18th, 19th, Zhou Guanyu in 20th place. Nick DeVries, like I said, not doing too good this year. And if he finishes last like I expect him to, They just need to fire him right now. That was a big risk. They should have took Liam Lawson, but they didn't. And now you're going to have a lot of controversy this year with the Australian fans wanting to have Ricardo in, and you got Liam Lawson, and you got some more F2 drivers. And I believe a driver that should be brought up here soon should be Jack Crawford. Did good this weekend in F2 in Austria, picked up his first win. The American is making his presence known. I believe, though, it's going to be a few years before he gets up there, but it's worth it for AlphaTauri, a team like that, to take a look and to maybe say, hey, it may take a year to get him going, but if we can get him going, he's going to be a contender for points on a weekly basis, and that's what we need as a whole organization. So, enough said there, but there you go. Verstappen wins, Alonso second, Hamilton third. Please like and subscribe.